Hello and welcome to this new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. I'm your host Manoj Agarwal, and today our guest is a seasoned expert in digital transformation, entrepreneurship, and business strategy with a remarkable background in one of the world's most renowned companies. With over 20 years of experience at Google, Ted Suder played a pivotal role in shaping its success story, and now he shares his valuable insights with entities worldwide. Please welcome Ted, a visionary leader and strategic professional dedicated to guiding organizations into a bright digital-first future. During his extensive tenure at Google, Ted made significant contributions, becoming an instrumental figure in crafting the company's extraordinary journey. Recognizing the evolving dynamics of business leadership, Ted founded the Google CFO Forum during his tenure. In this initiative, he emphasized the importance of CFOs in driving digital transformation efforts and establishing a strong partnership with the CMOs. In his current role, Ted extends his wealth of experience to assist diverse entities across the globe. He works closely with businesses, startups, government entities, chambers of commerce, nonprofit organizations, helping them navigate the complexities of the post pandemic world. Building an entrepreneurial ecosystem, Ted draws from his involvement in one of the oldest and largest chambers of commerce in the US to highlight the critical role such organizations play in fostering and thriving tech hubs. As a highly sought after speaker, consultant, and thought leader, Ted brings unparalleled expertise and an insider perspective on achieving digital excellence and navigating the ever changing business landscape. Welcome, Ted.
Very, very generous introduction, and thank you. It's great to be here.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I'm really excited to talk to you. You have done some amazing things in a company like Google. So let's start to get to know you, your journey. Walk us down the memory lane. How did it all come about? How did you get to where you are today? And how was it working with Google?
Well, I mean, I can say overall it was fantastic, but it started when my girlfriend and I, who is now my wife, we were living in San Francisco, and we were there in the late 1990s, getting into the 2000, 2001. And you have to remember back during that time, it was the bursting of the internet bubble. And so
Absolutely.
San Francisco in early 2001 was a really interesting place to be because
Mhm.
all of these internet companies had gone out of business. Most of the startups had gone out of business, including the one that I was with, which is called Echo Networks. It was an online music startup that was way ahead of its time. And everybody was unemployed. It was wild. You would drive down any street in San Francisco at noon on a Tuesday, and all the bars would be packed because
Yeah.
everybody had been laid off, everybody had severance. But we lived in an apartment about this big, and
Hmm.
it was terribly expensive. And we're like, we got to get out of here. So we came to Chicago, where I had a lot of family and have lived before, and started to look for opportunities here. In the summer of 2001, I reached out to a small fledgling startup because I knew people worked there called Google,
Hmm.
and was able to go through the interview process, and everything was going well, I believed, and having interviews and all of that. And I was expecting, like, I think that I'm going to get a job offer. So I was really excited. And then all of a sudden, on the morning of September 11th, the world changed.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I looked over to my girlfriend, and I was just like, that's it. There's no way I'm going to get an offer from Google. And they made me an offer a week later. I
Mm.
very quickly accepted it, and
Mhm.
have had a great experience there for over 20 years.
Awesome. That's a great story. Yeah, I've been through the dot com boom and bust cycle myself. I think I was actually, I can relate to the story that you said. Like, everybody was unemployed because I was in San Francisco during that time as well. So
Oh,
yeah, I remember those days. Interesting time.
we
Um,
probably went to some of the same launch parties.
yeah, exactly. Working with Google, I mean, you joined them when they were a startup. Did you have any idea what it will grow into?
Well, Yes and no. I
Mhm,
mean, of course, I didn't dream where we would be today just because it's, I mean, who could?
mhm,
But with Google, it was unique. I worked for a number of startups, and when I met Larry and Sergey, they really stuck out as two of the biggest, most ambitious thinkers that I'd ever come across.
mhm,
And their vision was so grand and so inspiring to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. And they meant that. And so there was, you couldn't help but get excited about their vision and what they were trying to do. And they started to pull together some really smart, energized, motivated people to bring this vision to life. So
mhm,
we always knew that they were special,
mhm,
and we wanted to get on the rocket ship early, as Eric Schmidt would call it.
mhm,
And as we begin to grow, we really saw that, wow, we're doing something really special here. And it was a really well run organization. We were making it up as we went. And I think that takes a certain kind of leadership style
mhm,
and motivational effort. So we knew something was unique and special there. And we hoped that we would just be able to be, bring in revenue and be profitable and build a business. I mean, no one knew that it was going to become one of the biggest businesses in the world. So
yeah,
that
yeah,
was a
yeah.
good byproduct.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, Google has always sort of, in my opinion, pushed the envelope on technology. As you said, they had a big, massive vision. Um, Now, like, is it difficult for somebody to articulate that big of a vision and not being called like crazy, like this is crazy, or like how believable is that vision when you come at, when you say, okay, we are going to really index the internet, the whole world.
I think there's a difference between someone who can say it with conviction and they have the academic background or maybe the business background or some other success stories, as opposed to someone who just says a lot of things and doesn't really
Hmm.
have anything to back it up. They
Sure.
were very much able to back up what their vision was, but they were
Right.
also putting into place the people, the underlying platform, the building blocks in order to get there. And then you would
Hmm.
have conversations with them about why things were the where they were, and they were asking questions that normal people like myself don't ask. It
Got
was
it.
just
Got it.
like, oh, like how'd you think of that? Or wow, like
Mm.
I would have never thought of that. So it just there's just a person who can BS their way around, or someone who
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
really, really knows what they're doing, and they knew
Absolutely.
what they were doing.
Absolutely. I think you touch upon a very, very good point. Like a lot of the success, I think, can be attributed to the quality of your questions, isn't it?
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Asking better questions, asking more questions, and then taking those answers and helping inform the decisions that you're making is really, really important. So I actually just taught a class on systems thinking a week ago. And it's the idea of going below the waterline, below in the iceberg, to really start to uncover the real reason why something is happening, or ask the right questions to really understand how to get to the right place. And
Hmm.
so you can be really smart or really informed, but unless you're asking questions and you're carefully, carefully listening, you're not going to go as deep and as make as good of a decision as if you weren't. So
Absolutely. Um, and tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, Google is a great company, and you were there for 20 years. I'm sure it was a competitive environment within Google as well. So, what is your secret of success?
what is my secret of success? I'm still trying to figure that out.
Mhm,
The way that we lived within the walls of Google, that it was just all about collaboration. And I've met some of the best people, some of my best friends. It was just a collection of wonderful, wonderful people who wanted to support each other, to help each other grow, to ask the right questions so they can be a better coworker, a better friend, a better partner. And that really, really made a difference. So it cut down on this kind of competitive atmosphere that can sometimes become really toxic. If I know that Mary or John over here is trying to undercut me because they want to take my job, that creates a negative atmosphere. And we didn't have that. Now, not to say that didn't exist in other places, but from my experiences, people were more inclined to help and support you. And that creates an atmosphere where you want to work together. You want to be a collaborative partner. And ultimately, you're going to be more successful as an organization. So I talk to a lot of founders. I work with a lot of startups, talking to them about how they can ensure that they're cutting away any of this toxicity, that they understand what's going on in the day-to-day halls of the organization, so they can ensure that people are working together, that they're collaborative, that they're a team, as opposed to this negative competitive atmosphere. Now, being competitive is great and fine, and I understand that. But I think there also can be an underlying toxicity that comes along with that. So I tell founders, I'm like, you need to be a decisive leader, and you need to understand if there is a toxic element within your organization, and you need to address that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think people are the most valuable commodity of not a commodity, but people are the wealth. So,
Yeah.
but I think I want to dive deeper into it. I think I want to know about your secret of success. Of course, that was the organizational secret of success, collaboration, great culture, great team. But what about you?
I'm really inquisitive. I like to learn things. I like to meet people. I like to go places. And I very much believe that if you're going to be an effective anything, that
Yeah,
you need to get up from your chair and go talk to people. And so I managed some incredible people and some great teams, and led really challenging situations and difficult clients and great clients, and getting out there and getting to know people personally, developing those one-on-one relationships,
yeah,
asking the right kind of questions, the right follow-up questions, and then ultimately trying to develop a solution that is informed by the question and answers. And that can be selling a product to a customer, and it can be giving feedback to a person on your team. It's I'm listening, I'm informing my decisions, I'm acting upon that, and I want you to have a good experience, because
Mhm.
if you feel good, I feel good, and that
Yeah,
sort of thing. So it's just I'm genuinely inquisitive and
yeah.
curious.
That's a great quality to have. I think Zig Ziglar said, if you help other people get what they want in life, you get what you want in life.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. And so, talking about the culture now, like there's a thing in Google where every employee gets to take 20% of their time and do whatever they want with it. First of all, is that true? Is that like, or is that a rumor? Or
So the spirit of it has always been true to some extent. And first and foremost, it's not that you take every Friday and work on something completely different.
Mhm.
20% time is actually more like 120% time, in that
Mhm.
you're hired to do a job. You go and you crush that job. And no one at Google and other great companies, I'm sure you has experienced this as well, no one does just one job. It's this
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
side hustle culture, or working on special projects, whatever. And so the idea was that you're smart. We have resources and platforms and tools and capabilities. If you have an idea, pull together some people and try to find a way to bring that idea to life. And there's countless Google products that were the result of people creating a 20% time effort, whether it's Google
Mhm.
News, or I think Gmail, and other products. So you're smart. Why not leverage you to bring something else to life? So over
Mhm.
my time there, I worked in the sales and business side of the organization. I did a number of side projects, and one of those was the Google CFO forum that you mentioned. It was the idea that we're going to pull together the world's top CFOs, talk to them about the importance of digital transformation, and have them really locking arms with their chief marketing officer partner to further accelerate the digital transformation for the company.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And the things that we were talking about, and other companies, the things that we're talking about these days with digital transformation, these are board level discussions that
Yeah, yeah.
CFOs historically are in those board meetings. CMOs, maybe not as much. We want
Mhm.
to influence the board. We want the board to understand the strategic imperative that is digital transformation. And
Yeah, yeah,
so it was a program that worked really well. And I had more than one, pretty famous world CFO come up to me and say, like, why does Google want to talk to me? I'm just the CFO. We're like,
yeah,
oh, just you wait
yeah.
and see. Like, we have lots to talk to you about. And I
Yeah,
think that people appreciate that, because these are big, important decisions. And so then if you think about the pandemic was this time machine to the future, where everybody had some sort of digital transformation plan, short term, long term, whatever. And now all of a sudden, those plans are a top priority for right now.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we saw the businesses that had fully embraced digital either prior to the pandemic or did something about it during the pandemic are the companies that are accelerating the fastest out of it. The
Mhm.
companies that aren't embracing it or are waiting for 2019 to come back, or I've spoken to CEOs that say this is a 6, 8, 12-month project and there's no sense of
Mm.
urgency. I think those are the businesses that are going to have a more difficult time.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think you rightly pointed out, like a lot of people, they they sort of get comfortable in, or not comfortable, but they just sort of think linearly in the role they are. As you said, like some CFO saying, "Why do you want to talk to me?" But then, as the environment is changing, that's sort of the underlying foundation of innovation, that we need to think ahead and look at our changing role, our changing environment, and what it means for the organization, what it means for the community, isn't it?
Yeah. So change management, embracing new opportunities, growth, whatever, those are a good conversation to have on a normal day. But
Yeah,
we're not
yeah,
living in normal times. And
yeah,
I mean, look at what generative AI has done in just the past 6, 8 months.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
this tsunami of interest that it's unlike anything I've ever seen.
yeah, yeah,
And every day I go on LinkedIn and there's 20 new companies that have launched overnight doing something with Chat GPT and plugins and
yeah,
this and that. So unless businesses are finding ways to embrace AI, for example, or how do they combine AI with their marketing programs or 50 other ways to run your business, they're going to be really challenged, because the smart businesses that are earlier in their career are more nimble are the ones that are going to embrace these new technologies. And if you aren't doing that, you're going to wake up one morning and you'll be like, wait a minute, we're not number one anymore. We've been bypassed by a bunch of smart kids in a garage. So
yeah,
that's
absolutely.
super real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was actually going to go into AI. A good thing that you brought it up. So, um, absolutely, I think this has taken everybody by surprise, in my opinion. Like I've been in AI for almost 2 decades now, at least 15 years, and I did not realize things were going to move this fast. I don't know about you, but it has definitely taken the world by storm. So, looking, and you are, I think, much closer. You have a different vantage point because Google is all about AI. So what is your crystal ball saying? Like, where do you think we will be in 5 years or 10 years? What will this world look like? Because I think a lot of what we know as the world, as a normal life, is going to be disrupted in many, many ways. So what are your views on that?
You're 100% right. And this is the part that I find to be a little curious, is that, AI in and of itself has been around for 50 years
Yeah,
and you have been in it for decades. That AI informs how search engines work, or how ads are run, or it's in your email, it's in spell check, like all of these things that we're used to. And we've been using AI for years and years and years, but we haven't really been as mesmerized by it as people were when Chat GPT came out. And it's because Chat GPT, now Bard and others, because it's so simple to use and you can use it to literally do anything.
yeah, yeah,
And all of a sudden, the public was enlightened to this newfound capability that's been around for a while. And then,
yeah,
of
yeah,
course, Google, people talk about how Google was caught flat footed in this and that. And they very quickly released Bard. Well, Bard and Bard like products at Google have been in development for 10 years. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
not that they saw Chat GPT and they're like, uh-oh, we better get at this AI
yeah,
thing. And they
yeah,
wrote a
yeah,
program and
yeah,
launched it. No,
Yeah.
they've been sitting on this for a really, really long time. And so what people, I think, tend to minimize a little bit is the fact that AI only goes up and to the right. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't go backwards. It doesn't stop. It doesn't get dumber. It only goes up and to the right. And so
Mm.
we are so short-term thinking as a species. We're always thinking about quarterly earnings and, what's your plan for the rest of the year? Thinking 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 years from now, my personal belief is, of course, things like the potential singularity will happen, or the idea that technology will be used for nefarious reasons and will have kinetic outcomes. Those things are 100% real. And people need to be prepared for that. So I think there needs to be some sort of policy creation, policy change around how to regulate some of this stuff. But I think the cat's out of the bag on this one.
Mhm.
And it's not something that you can contain or control. And there will be bad actors that train their own AIs to do certain bad things, and there will be bad outcomes. There was I'm sure you saw it the other day, where there was a picture floating around on Twitter and elsewhere that there was an explosion outside of the Pentagon.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
that had a very, very short impact on the US markets. It spread like wildfire. And if you looked at the picture closely, it was actually pretty crudely done, but it was an
Mhm.
AI generated image. And so that's just today. Think about what the technology is going to be like in 5 years. It's
Yeah, yeah,
probably going to be so good that the human eye won't be able to tell the difference. So I think there's some challenging things to come. Now, can we flip over really quickly to the positive side of things?
yeah, 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 absolutely. Yeah.
Because I do believe strongly that the power of AI, the power of technology as a whole, is going to be a great accelerator for humanity, for job creation, for health and happiness and wellness. There's going to be so many new opportunities based on AI and technology to make the world a better place. And I think it's going to create entire new industries. Yes, there will be job loss, but I think more importantly, there will be job change and job creation. And so we'll get
Yeah.
rid of things that are a little more mundane and repetitive, and those will be replaced with things that are higher impact, higher value, higher
Yeah.
ROI. So I'm very bullish and optimistic. I think there's an entire AI gold rush that is just getting started, and I think it's going to be a golden age of opportunity.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I could not agree more. You mentioned the singularity. Do you believe we are actually going through that now?
I don't think we're going through that right now. I think we will go through something like that in the future.
Okay.
Again, because it just gets smarter.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so I try to be as big of a thinker and open-minded as I possibly can be. And so what's to stop it from happening?
Yeah.
They say, well, computers can't have emotion, or they can't do this or that. It's like I get that, but that's computers as we know them today. Who's to say that they can't figure that out? I just led a expedition to Gabon with a bunch of people, and one of the guys who joined us is working on giving a sense of smell to
Mm.
computers,
Nice, nice.
all AI driven. So to say that one day computers couldn't have emotions, I, I don't know. I
Hmm.
kind of ask why not.
But is that a prerequisite for the singularity, like the emotional part of it?
No, but I think it's all
Mm.
part of the bigger picture.
Yeah.
If you're talking about computers capabilities and knowledge sets surpassing humankind, well, emotions and feelings and all of that are part of
Sure,
that data
sure.
set. So
Absolutely.
what that looks like in the future and how that's utilized, I have no idea. But
No.
I don't see an end to any of this.
Absolutely. All right. So let's talk about shift gears a little bit again. So going from early stage Google and becoming this prominent executive in Google, I'm sure you faced your own set of challenges and down days and things when things didn't work out, or when disasters happened. So can you share some stories where you had to overcome those challenges, and how did you sort of figure your way out? And
So, yes, there were many days like that.
Mhm.
And one of my favorites was actually in the beginning when the Google Ads systems were very manual. And it was so manual in the very beginning that we had no reporting tools. Everything was done in a spreadsheet that you would manipulate and write all of these macros for. But we had a ad targeting system where it wasn't targeted towards people, it was targeted towards geographic regions. And the default could be global, for example. So the company that we were working with was running ads, and they wanted to run ads specifically in the US because they only worked within the US. And they were getting results that were not what we were expecting, and B, definitely not what they were expecting. And they were
Yeah.
considering canceling their Google ad program. And
Mhm.
so we did a really deep dive to figure out why the ads weren't performing. And of course, in a non-systems thinking approach, we're like, oh, well, maybe it's the copy or the background color or the landing page, which means it's all your fault kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah.
Actually, what we discovered is that the default switch for targeting was set to global.
I
And
see.
so we were
I
running
see.
ads for them globally in markets in which they don't run.
Yeah, yeah.
So we quickly switched that back over to US only, but after they had spent about $600,000.
Oh my
And
goodness.
and they're like, we want to make good.
Yeah, yeah.
And in make good meaning give them the money back,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
or
yeah.
some other thing of value.
Yeah.
I freaked out. I thought for sure I was going to get fired. It
Yeah.
was because it was my team, it was my client,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm totally going to get fired over this. Now,
Yeah.
luckily, it was an honest mistake, and nobody got fired over it. But
Mhm.
it was a really stressful situation that made me think of a couple things. One is that if you are looking into a challenge or an opportunity, thinking of it in more of a systems thinking approach, that you're really trying to look at all the different angles, really get a sense of why something is happening as opposed to just reverting to the obvious. That's a really good way to approach business, and that helped. The second was that the Google leadership at the time recognized that nothing was done intentionally. It was just an honest mistake. A little bit was because the complexity of the ad systems and this and that, and they took a compassionate partnership approach to making good for the client, to making sure that the team knew that it's okay to make mistakes, understand
Mhm.
what you did wrong and we won't do it again, kind of thing. So it really gave me a sense that good leadership matters and can have a positive impact on growth and people, as opposed to just reacting and say, you cost us $600,000, you're fired.
Yeah, yeah,
um,
yeah.
so I've tried to live that ever since.
Well, that's great. Now, speaking of leadership, how do you develop your own leadership? What is your style, and what will be your advice to younger, up and coming leaders who are looking to achieve similar success as you?
So I have a handful of people whom I reach out to on a very regular basis. I think the term mentor is a little overused, but I guess mentors or people with whom I can go to for advice. And these are very, very senior, well-known individuals whom have lived through an entire career. So I value very highly what they say. And so I can go to them in a situation and say, hey, here's a challenge I'm having, or what would you do in this kind of situation? If leaders at any point in their career have these mentors or coaches or sounding boards, that can have a really profound impact on your ability to scale as a leader. At Google, in the very early days, we had all sorts of wonderful coaches and mentors who came through and would sit down with us and give us advice and things. So I think it's really, really important for anybody at any stage in their career to have that. And I fully understand that a lot of smart founders in particular might be like, I got this. Like I know what I'm doing, or I'm
Hmm.
super smart, or I've had 2 exits before. What
Yeah,
else?
yeah,
Who's going to tell me how to do something?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I understand all of that, but I think having people to go to for advice, to double check ideas, I think is really, really is a really, really good opportunity for anybody.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think we can all learn from other people's experience, other people's mistakes. So I can obviously attest to my to this in my own life. Like wherever I am, I mean, it is a result of learning from other people who have gone walked the path before me for sure.
Yeah.
All right, great. Well, thank you so much, Ted. This has been such a entertaining and a lot of value bombs you dropped. So thank you so much in a short amount of time. Now, before I let you go, can you tell us if people want to reach out and they want to connect with you, what is the best way they can reach out?
So I think the easiest way is on to connect with me on LinkedIn. And I think LinkedIn is a really powerful, effective tool, not only for networking, but also for inspiration. And there's so many things that I learn on that platform on a regular basis. And I think that everybody should be leveraging LinkedIn as much as they can. Connect with me. I always accept everybody and will answer questions, carry on conversations, like whatever people want. It's a great tool and resource.
Absolutely.
They
No,
should they
we
should be
we
paying me for this. Where's my check? My check is in the mail. It's coming.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I guess ever since it was bought out by Microsoft, there is like a healthy rivalry between Google and Microsoft. But
Yeah.
anyway, because yeah, I mean, we met on LinkedIn as well, and yeah, I can say that with confidence. You responded like very promptly. So thank you so much. We'll put that link for your LinkedIn profile in the show notes.
All right.
Thank you so much for being with us again, and yeah, have a great day.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.